Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week of learning. I'd just like to acknowledge that I'm in the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. Today we're chatting to Dave Pace again. We're about to start a bit of a series on recovery, on preparedness. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about preparedness with Dave and what he's learned over the last couple of years. But first, I would just like to acknowledge that your time at Red Cross is nearly coming to an end. And it's been just amazing working with you and your team. And we've learnt so much about recovery with all the work that you guys have done. And just thanks so much for the amazing work. We're just chatting. It's been a couple of years through a couple of different activations and a whole lot of work. So good luck as you go forward.
Thanks, Anthony. And it's been a very intense 2 years where I've learned so much from you and the rest of the team as well. And it's just been amazing to be able to work with such passionate people pretty much all over the state, actually. So it's been incredible.
Yeah, our volunteers are amazing people, and particularly in activation, you see what they do, which is just remarkable. So, as I said, we want to talk a bit about preparedness. So, I guess from your insights, I'm really interested to understand why it's important for communities to prepare for emergencies. And I know that one thing I learned about the recovery space is that you do a lot of preparedness work after emergencies as well. And I mean, intrigued to hear why that's so important and the work that you do in that space.
Yeah. So I guess I can start with that as well. So in the recovery space, we're working with people who have just been through an event. Sometimes that's in the weeks afterwards. Sometimes that's months or years after they've been through a really traumatizing and interrupting event that pretty much changes their life each time. And what you have in a disaster is ultimately people losing control over their life, losing power, and losing their meaning of what life is all about sometimes, and really just flips everything on its head. And so ultimately, that's a loss. And people grieve, people feel like they're not really able to handle what's going on. And so one of the tools that we use to share that control again and get people to feel comfortable in their situation again is this preparedness training. There could be workshops, it could be information, it could just be sessions that we're getting together and talking about it. But a big part of people's recovery journey, and by recovery, is that having a life again that you want to live, is regaining a sense of control over the dangerous environment that might be around you, and that might be through having a pillowcase packed full of essential items for an evacuation, or it might be understanding what part of your property you need to clear up or clean, and everything in between. And ultimately, from the Red Cross perspective, it's preparing for any hazard, and obviously the mental health and psychosocial impact that can have on you. So making sure that you have your connections, you know who to talk to, and you have an understanding of what you need to be able to do.
Yeah, I love all of that stuff. It's amazing. And coming from a volunteer response agency background, it was a real wake up for me to realize all of that and understand it. I never really fully understand it before. Something I love about what Red Cross does, it's an all hazard approach to preparedness. So I've got my 93-year-old mother-in-law lives down the street. For her to lose her purse is a major disaster. She's not losing a house, but it's still something very significant to her. And the way that we prepare people prepares them for everything across, the spectrum of what might happen.
Exactly. And it's, the stuff that we do in, whether it's like PFA, volunteers will know as well, what we do in PFA is just so useful at any point in someone's life, whether they've just experienced a bushfire or a flood, or if they've lost a loved one.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does that then relate back to before disasters in your mind? How do those pieces connect?
So when we use the catchword of resilience, what we mean is just that process of being able to cope with things. And so what we find during a traumatic event or during a disaster is our ability to learn new things becomes really difficult. Our ability to cope with even just normal things is really difficult. So it's already a lot of the time too late to try to do anything to prevent that damage. So the important part of preparedness work no matter when it is in the disaster cycle, whether it's before or after. The important part is if we can do that preparation work beforehand, we're going to be much better positioned for an emergency to happen and for us to get through it smoothly.
Yeah, it's so important. And again, coming back to that all hazards approach, which we have, is just so valuable because it doesn't matter if it's a fire or a flood or an earthquake or a COVID pandemic. We're looking to prepare people for all those different things.
Exactly. And I come across a lot of people in the recovery space who maybe just recently went through a disaster and feel like there's nothing they could have done to plan for the event. But sometimes the plan itself is really important and can really make you feel comfortable and safe in that situation so you can get through it without panicking.
Yeah.
And other times it's the process of planning where you find out who to talk to, where you find out where to go, where you find out what supplies you might need. That process is a really important part.
Yeah, it's also like you said, it loops straight back to our PFA principles.
Mm.
So, as Red Cross people, as a Red Cross volunteer in my division, what can I do? What's the best way for me to contribute to that preparedness piece of work?
So if you're focusing on your division, your area, knowing your community is one of the most important things you can do. Understanding where they're at, what their vulnerabilities might be, understanding what their strengths might be as well, so that when they have that question of how to prepare, or maybe they haven't thought about it yet, and you've got to start that conversation. But the more you know about the context and the people, the better placed you're going to be able to support them through that journey as well. So, and again, like really comes back to what we learn in Ready Plan as well. It's getting to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, get those connections and talk to people.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks, Dave. It's been a really great insight. And over the next few weeks, we'll do more of these videos and we'll chat to some more people. And for those that are watching, keep your eye out. We're going to have a couple of events. We'll be having a workshop that'll be coming up over the next couple of months. And we'll also do some more preparedness training over the next few months. So keep your eye out for all of those. Thanks so much, Dave. All the best. It's been such a pleasure to be working with you for the last couple of years, and I'm sure we're going to see you go on to do some amazing things.
Oh, and I'll be back at some point, right? I can't stay away from Red Cross.
Oh, counting on it.
See
Terrific.
you
Thanks
around.
so much, mate.